Hi there, my name is Matthew, and this video is a part of our SASAH Alumni Outreach Project, where we reach out to our SASAH alumni and try to gain their experiences and their insight on what it means to be involved in this very new type of learning and how that gets kind of manifested into their enterprises outside of SASAH, whether that be in the workforce or in the graduate studies. Today, I'm joined with Haley Everitt. Hello, Haley, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, I'm really good. So Haley obviously did SASAH and an Honours Specialization in creative writing, and now she's a PhD student at Western studying geography, and she's also a part-time faculty member at Fanshawe. What's that like, Haley?
It's great. The first time I taught was a roller coaster experience, but every time I teach, I feel a little bit more confident, and my students really love learning about climate change. So it's been a really thrilling experience. I'm happy that I've been able to kind of do that on the side as I work through my PhD.
I think that's really cool. That's some cool stuff that you're doing for sure. And I really think that a lot of SASAH students will be interested to kind of hear your journey with starting off with SASAH and creative writing, and then now doing geography and kind of honing more into environmental sustainability. So I think that will be really interesting for a lot of people. But before we dive into all of that, you're from the graduating class of 2018, which is like the very first SASAH class, right? So I'm sure you have a lot of experience with kind of the initial stages of SASAH and like the beginnings of kind of what the program was. So I was wondering if you could shed some light onto the huge monumental question that everyone has in their minds of what is SASAH?
Yeah, so obviously as a student in the first cohort, I had to answer this question a lot of times. But I think overall, I would say SASAH is a unique interdisciplinary arts and humanities-based undergraduate program with both experiential and international learning opportunities. And I think really it's this fantastic experience and opportunity to explore. And I think I would divide that into kind of two areas. Firstly, content. So basically everything under the umbrella of arts and humanities at Western is something that I was exposed to at one time or another throughout my SASAH learning, which gave me a really great opportunity to decide what areas of study I was interested in and what areas of study were maybe not my cup of tea, which is also really important to know. And then that second area is really to explore and develop these core transferable skills, skills like critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, communication, that are really essential for any successful career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. No, I 100% agree. I think that's a really good synopsis of everything that SASAH has to offer. I think that was really well said. So knowing that you're part of the first cohort, I guess I was just wondering what initially attracted you to SASAH, and how do you think SASAH ended up fulfilling that initial excitement or those initially like really amazing things that you saw?
Mm-hmm. So my entry and introduction to the program was, I think, a little bit different than some of my peers. When I was in first year at Western, SASAH was not yet even a program that you can enroll into. So the first time I ever heard about SASAH was in my first year introductory English language and literature course with Dr. David Bentley. And I remember sitting in one of his lectures, and he kind of briefly discussing this new program that was available, and that there was going to be this kind of public unveiling event to kind of launch the program. And I can remember sitting there being like, oh, wow, this sounds like it would be a really good fit for me. I should probably go to this event. And so I went, and Dr. Bentley introduced me to Dr. Joel Fathalak, who at the time, and when I was a student in SASAH, was the director of the program. So I got to kind of ask them my questions and find out more about the different opportunities, and that was really exciting to me. But I think what really kind of pushed me to apply was at this event, I got to hear Joel and some of the other faculty involved in the creation of the program speak just so passionately about this program that they had worked tirelessly to kind of create and make to be an actual program that you could take. And I think in that moment, I realized that if I was a part of SASAH, I was also going to be a part of this really special community, which ended up being the case. So throughout my 4 years in the SASAH program, I was surrounded by just fantastic human beings, professors, students that were great at teaching me and mentoring me, who challenged me and pushed me to grow, and who also supported me in the program. And even like 4 years or so after I graduated, I still feel supported by members of that community. So it's a really ongoing process. And I think kind of both those things, the content and the experiential learning opportunities that I was going to get to be a part of, as well as that really special community that I felt would be there for me throughout my undergrad, was kind of jointly what attracted me to the program. And I definitely feel like all of those things were fulfilled throughout my 5 years of undergrad. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I absolutely agree. I think the passion that the staff and faculty has for SASAH is something really, really incredible and really amazing. And when you said that, it kind of reminded me of, I think it was winter open house, or it was an open house that we had, and we were showing off the SASAH program. And I was with Lawrence Deleuze, who's the first year lecturer for the first year students. And I mean, if I was in first year, I would have joined SASAH, because I think he was just absolutely incredible, and was also there with the Gen as well. And there was just this constant, I think, appreciation and dedication to the program that we always tried to exude, and it felt so genuine too. That was, I think, the real take a lot of students had. And yeah, I think the community and the passion that we all have for SASAH is something really, really incredible. So I'm glad that's what really attracted you. I think that's really cool. So I guess kind of transitioning into like your more academic journey throughout the SASAH program, I was wondering, how do you think SASAH and your creative writing kind of intertwine together? And then how did that kind of mold you into doing geography now as a PhD student at Western? That journey is very interesting, I think.
So obviously I have a lot of different interests.
As all SASAH students do, so.
Yeah. So I guess, so in undergrad, so I felt like I was in 3 modules, even though I was technically in 2, because English and creative writing were joint, but those 2 with SASAH. I think in a nutshell, it really rounded out my undergraduate experience. I was able to take concepts that I was learning in my SASAH courses that were outside of the sphere of creative writing in English and apply them to text that I was analyzing in an English class, for example. So I think that helped me kind of excel, as well as I think that I just learned some really great foundational information about different theories that are almost universal. For example, the first time I learned about intersectionality was in one of my SASAH classes that was taught by 2 professors from the Women's Studies department. And now when I'm doing a little bit of research in the realm of climate change and teaching in the sphere of climate change, intersectionality is such a critical piece to that. And I don't know where I would be in that kind of journey to understand what intersectionality is and why it's so critical without having that foundational knowledge in SASAH. So even though some of the concepts, of course, don't necessarily translate into my time in my master's program, which was in the Faculty of Science, or in my time now in social science in the geography department, some of those underlying theories really do transfer well. As well as bringing it back to those transferable skills, like your writing skills, your problem solving skills, your critical thinking skills, your research skills. Those are all applicable no matter what area of academic discipline that you fall into. And I mean, especially the writing and the reading, which I really did a lot of in undergrad, is so important and critical in every single thing I've ever done, even at the PhD level. I mean, I need to write things to publish papers. So having those skills in undergrad and really developing them and taking the time to kind of, I mean, I don't think I'm perfect or anything, but perfect my craft, for lack of a better phrase, has really helped me to kind of be in the position that I'm in right now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, I was just soaking in everything that you said, and I think what you kind of mentioned about having a variety of interests and that kind of taking you into these paths, I think will resonate with a lot of SASA students. And I think also kind of SASA being a foundation for like such important topics that you can
Mhm.
learn in different places, but learning them all in one place and in one program, I think is what's one of the core benefits of SASA as well. Yeah, and that's what I found as being in my first year. I think I learned a lot of really cool things. So yeah,
Think
I
there's
love that.
also a lot of like safe spaces in SAFSA to take risks with your assignments. And that's where I kind of felt comfortable at some point in time to kind of experiment with these other interests that I had. And that's kind of how I got interested in kind of the waste aspect of like, that's the research I'm doing now, was in SASA when I was like, how can I think about waste with this humanitarian focus and these lenses? And I think that's something that's really nice about the program, is that you do have that opportunity to explore outside of even just the realm of arts and humanities within your SASA classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, 100% agree. So kind of piggybacking off of that in a sense, you kind of already hinted at it, but in case there's anything else, what do you think was your favorite aspect of the SASA program in general? Like the
Yeah,
one standout thing that you're like, oh, I love that about SASA.
definitely love a lot of things. That's a difficult question. But I think now that I have some teaching experience under my belt, I can actually put some terminology to some of the things that I liked in the classes. And specifically, I really appreciated that in SASA, all of the faculty members that were involved in the program really had this like learner focus to their teaching and had a lot of active learning in their classroom. So essentially, not just sitting in a lecture and listening to a professor speak and taking notes, but actually engaging with the material and participating in in-person, in-class activities that kind of encouraged you to a higher standard or a higher level of learning. So not just here's a theory, memorize it for the exam, but here's a theory, here's a text, a piece of art, an issue. How can you apply this theory to whatever it is that we're talking about? And I mean, of course, I learned a lot from the professors within the program. They're brilliant scholars, but I also learned so much from my peers because of these active learning components to the classes. I mean, everyone's coming to the class with different lived experiences, so that's being portrayed in perspectives and opinions that are shared. But I think it also helps within an interdisciplinary program that there are people from the class that are coming from all these academic disciplinary backgrounds. So not only are they providing different perspectives based on their lived experiences, but also pulling in concepts and theories and topics that they've talked about within their other modules, which is just every class was just like, wow, I never thought of things this way. And this is such a cool perspective that I never would have thought of on my own. And you kind of start to question how you know the things you know and different ways of learning and thinking and coming up with different ideas. So yeah, I think that was probably my favorite. I think I rambled on a little bit there, but active learning was really critical to my undergraduate experience for sure.
Oh no, yeah, we love the rambling, so feel free to keep rambling. But no, yeah, I love that, and I think the beauty of that question is that everyone that I ask that question to always gives me a different answer. I
Yeah.
think that says a lot about SASA as a program and the students that take up the space in SASA. I think it's really, really incredible. I guess my final question to kind of close things off maybe would be, what advice do you think you have for current SASA students, or even SASA, or even like future SASA students that are looking at the program and looking in and maybe don't know what to think or don't know what to expect? What would you say to them?
Yeah. So to start off, I guess I'll extend an invitation. If anybody wants to chat further about this, if you're interested in the same things as me, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to kind of talk about the mistakes I made in undergrad and what I learned from them. But otherwise, for future students, I would say it's totally okay to not know what you want to do when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, 50 years old. So I guess follow your passion would be my cheesy piece of advice there. And for current students, we're in a global pandemic right now, and I think it's really easy to kind of forget that university on its own is challenging. It's supposed to be challenging, and right now there's this extra layer of difficulty with everything going on in the world. So I think my advice would be a reminder to remind yourself that it's okay if you're struggling right now. And if you have feelings of like self-doubt and you don't deserve to be in this spot, I think it's a really easy and advanced program like SASAH for that imposter syndrome to kick in. Just know you're not the only one thinking that. I definitely felt like that at times in my undergrad, even in my master's and my PhD, I felt like that. So you're not the only one. I always thought as an undergraduate student, it was really nice to hear about other people maybe not feeling like they were 100% getting everything and at the top of their class and things like that. So just, I'm one of those people if you feel like you're the only one.
I'm one of those people. yeah, no, I think that's really, really good advice. Imposter syndrome can hit hard. And I think really having that kind of reinforcing kind of community is really important. And speaking of, you kind of said that everyone, if they're interested, can reach out to you. So like, where can they do that? What's your contact info?
Yeah, I'm assuming my name or something will be on this video.
Yeah,
So
it'll be somewhere. It'll be somewhere on this. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have LinkedIn and you look up my name, you can find me there and message me. I'm on Twitter with just my first last name as my handle. You can contact me there. Or, I mean, worst case scenario, you can probably contact someone within SASAH and they can send you send me an email on your behalf or something like that. So,
yeah. Okay, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure Jen would love to do that for sure.
Yeah,
But,
good connect. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I think you had a lot of really great things to say that I'm sure a lot of SASAH students really benefited from. And I'm sure you'll be getting emails soon and messages soon, so be on the lookout for that. But until then, thank you again so much. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to help. So,
Of course. Okay, well, I'm going to close off and thank you again. So, bye.
okay, bye.